afternoon. This is John Farmer, Chair of the Planning Board. As a preliminary matter, I have with me Josh Morris and David Fields as support staff from the Town Planning Division. Permit me to confirm that members are present and anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when you hear your name, please respond in the affirmative. Peg Zielinski.
Here.
Lou George.
Here.
And Tori Adler and Jim Sears are not present for this meeting. Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Josh Morris.
Here, present.
Okay, David Field.
Present.
And the anticipated speakers on the agenda, please respond in the affirmative. John Colantoni.
Here, good morning.
Good morning. And Attorney McCann.
I'm here. Good morning.
Good morning. I guess it's going to turn afternoon pretty soon. So good afternoon. This opening meeting of the Danvers Planning Board is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020. Due to the current state of the emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gathering, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirements of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a public, accessibly physical location. Further, all members of the public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which can be found posted on the town's website, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comments. For this meeting, the planning board is convened remotely by Teams, as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please note this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by video conferencing. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you and take care not to screen share your computer. Anything you broadcast may be captured by the recording. Supporting materials that have been provided to the members of this body will be shown during this transmission. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless I note otherwise. Ground rules. We are now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some basic ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comments, questions, or motion. Please hold your name. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you're not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you. State your name before speaking. If members wish to engage with each other during the meeting, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. For items with public comments, we have established an email address for public comments at danversmass.gov. This email address is shown online with the streaming of this meeting. Residents may email comments and they will be provided, read out loud after the staff has confirmed their name and address. All emails must contain the date and phrase planning board in the subject line. Finally, every vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call. And just let the minutes know that Tori Adler has joined us. So welcome, Tori.
Hi, thanks.
So I'll turn the first item over to the applicant. Nancy John, you're up.
Yes, thank you very much. I appreciate you meeting this afternoon. We have submitted a request for a bond reduction relative to the Beaverbrook Woods subdivision. The board will recall back at the beginning of December, the planning board covenant was released and a tripartite agreement was established in the amount of $524,000. Since that time, quite a bit of work has been done on the subdivision, and we have requested a reduction in that bond amount. We submitted that back at middle of January 14th, and I believe the most recent email I had received with regard to the engineering department's recommendation was a few weeks ago, and that amount, the town engineering department was recommending a bond reduction down to $428,584. I believe there may have been another update from the engineering department that's come in the last day or so. I have not received a copy of that, but you may have that in your files. So we are requesting a reduction of the tripartite bond amount from 524,000 down to 428,584, or what lower amount the engineering department has come up with since its last review. Thank you.
Okay, so before I open it up to the members, David or Josh, can you guys just, for the benefit of the members, the new members, as well as the public, just review what our process is to reduce the bonding requirement? You know, obviously, I'm sensitive to it. I'm in the banking industry. I know how important it is to the banks to get these things done timely. So I just want to understand what our process is, especially with the tripartite agreement, to accommodate all three parties.
Sure. I can take that unless another staff member wants to jump in. So generally the way it works, and in this instance too, as you know, this subdivision control allows you to choose one of 4 types of sureties. The planning board is not at liberty to pick the type of surety, though they can question the efficacy of the instrument. So in this particular instance, a swap was applied for to switch the current tripartite to a performance bond, which is a different type of instrument. Subsequent to that, the applicant chose to not pursue the performance bond and to simply lower the amount of the existing tripartite agreement. We do have an application process for that. Given that we have an application in for the performance bond at this time, we put this on the agenda sort of late in the game, but we're here. And we understand the efficiency needed for the bank and the applicant. So we were trying to get this through as quickly as possible while still covering all our bases. So we still do need an instrument to sign and be recorded. Currently, we don't have that. So for your process, you'd be voting on simply the amount to be changed with no other language changes in the existing tripartite agreement.
So David, there's a schedule of values that get agreed upon up front, right?
Correct.
And the inspection process by the town engineer, are they just opining on that the percentage of completion has been done, or are they opining on the quality of the work?
Well, they inspect it for quality to their own standards, engineering standards, which are best management practices on the stormwater side. And then we do have a set of standards for road conditions. So at a minimum, no matter what, the applicant is required to build the road to those specifications and what they've provided per plan. Where they're opining is on the percentage completed. So I think in this instance, the amount requested by the applicant was lower than what the engineering division felt was actually substantially completed. So where that differentiation is, you know, we always say we put in the tripartite agreement what we get from staff, because it's the only thing that we have covering the town. There's nothing else out there should this go sideways.
No, I understand that, but in most cases, the banks also have their own independent inspectors. Does that tend to tie? Do we see situation where the bank is approving situations and the town feels differently?
It hasn't happened to me in my practice yet. As you point out, it certainly could, but generally I've never gone there to date. Hopefully don't have to.
Okay, I'll start. Peg, you have questions?
Well, I guess where the applicant is going to accept the figure that has been presented by the engineering firm, by the engineering department, I don't think I have too many questions. One of my questions was, have we received another memo? Have they gone back and looked at it again and reduced it? The engineering department. Because there were a number of corrections on this one that the engineering department went through. So is the $428,524 the bottom price that the engineering department has said so far? Or have they reduced it further?
You want me to take that?
I am
Mr.
asking, I guess, Mr. Farmer, I'm asking through you to
Sure.
David Fields.
Yeah, David, can you want to answer that?
Sure. So I got something in my email late yesterday from engineering. To be honest with you, I've been in meetings all morning. I have not looked at that. But generally, to your point about the process, is the way this usually works is the applicant will apply to us. We send all the material to engineering, wait to get it back, and then go from there. I think in this instance, the applicant was trying to work directly with the electrical division to get us something. So I have something, but we haven't really checked it yet. It came in late yesterday.
So are we going to be back here in another 2 weeks to reduce again?
If I may, through the chair, if I may jump in.
Yeah, go ahead, John.
A couple of things that I'd like to make clear, and maybe some people understand this and some people don't, but it sort of goes back to John, Mr. Farmer's statement. So the 524,000 that was assessed by the engineering department, in reality, is only going to cost us a little under 300,000. So it's almost doubled what the engineering put on it. Now that's okay because we didn't fight that at all because they have certain rules they have to follow and it's got to be certain percentage higher and all that. So we totally respected that. And that's why we agreed to it. But just so everyone understands that our actual cost of the work to do 100% quality complete would be under 300,000. Now, with that said, I also want to explain something that maybe there was some confusion on. We had talked about an insurance bond and was actually Nancy McCann working very hard on it to get the wording from the insurance company to the planning department and to make sure that they were happy with it. And there was some back and forth on that. Never did we say that we weren't going to reduce the tripartite at the same time, because if we were going to do the insurance bond, it would only be to our best interest to have it as low as possible, the tripartite, to have the insurance bond replace it, which would cost us less money. But because of the back and forth and how that was sort of crazy is the wrong word, but just kind of taking too long, we said, forget about the insurance bond. We'll just stick to the tripartite. But never did we say we weren't going to reduce the tripartite. So I think that's where a little confusion was. And there was, because this has taken so long to get in front of you for this reduction, on a positive note, there's been other work completed that would like part of this reduction, because where there's not as many meetings and it could be harder to get in front of you, that it would be nice that this email that was sent could be part of this reduction. If Mr. Fields might be able to open that, because I think that has to do with the electrical department did a final inspection of some work this past week, and Mr. King was able to take a look at what the electrical department did. So I think it reduces it a little bit more. Never would we come back a week later with another application fee to try to get in front of you again on just a short amount of money, which we don't even know what that reduction is. So it would be nice if we could open that email, because it's just a simple, if it's $5,000, then the 428 is down to 423. If it's $10,000, it's down 10 instead of 5. So I think it would save the board time. It would be helpful to us, and if through the chair, if I could request that, I would appreciate it. And thank you for all the time. I didn't mean to talk as long.
No, that's fine. We can talk about that, John. But obviously, we need the town engineer to approve it. I mean, there's certain departments that participate, but let's figure out if there's a way that we can bridge this. But let me make sure we get some feedback from the other members. Peg, do you have any other questions?
No, I'm just concerned with the difference in the amount, and I always, as the rest of the board has always done, we go with the town engineer's amount.
Yeah, and the town, is doing their job. They're more conservative, and just because the market price may not be necessarily the cost to finish it, if a new contractor needs to be brought in. So I mean, I know that. I just want to point that out to other people that may be watching. Lou, do you have questions?
No, I do. I think they covered it. Again, I would be concerned, and I would want to, what would dictate my decision would be what the engineering department came back with. So so I don't have any further questions.
Tori?
Oh, I'm looking at the memo from engineering, and I think I'm seeing a different number than Peg read. So I want to clarify that the number that we're talking about is $428,584.84. I'm comfortable with the number from engineering, and if we've all got that same number, then I've got no further questions.
Okay. I mean, David, I'd like to think we can find, I mean, I can tell you from a banking perspective, okay, and that's tripartite means three parties, right? There's a liability associated with the bank too, that they're anxious to get these things reduced quickly as well. So I just want to make sure that for reputational purposes, the town of Danvers is turning these things around as fast as we can.
Sure. Thanks, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how deep you want to go into this. I think a lot of what happened at the last meeting and then subsequently was not factually accurate, but I don't really want to go into all of that necessarily.
Yeah.
For the sake of going forward, you know, if the applicant's happy to work through the planning division and work with us to work with engineering to get these numbers, that's fine. I'm happy to open the email from engineering right now. If there's a different figure, that's fine. It's up to the board whether or not they're comfortable having not seen that, voting on that number.
Yeah,
I can look.
I think we all agree that we would rather see the engineering's report. That's, to me, is they're the technical experts that are saying, hey, we're comfortable with this number. And I mean, that's what we should be doing. I'm just talking globally. I mean,
Sure.
I know it's difficult, but the way these loans work is they're holding back funding potentially to the developer. And we run the risk that we're delaying contract from being paid. And I just want to be sensitive to that. I mean, that's the weakness of a tripartite.
Yeah, no, absolutely agreed. There's strengths and weaknesses, I think, to all four types, and I'm cognizant that you are in the industry, and that's been at the top of our mind going forward. We want to ensure satisfaction of the town, but also make sure that the bank and the town are protected.
Yeah, okay. Other Matt, I mean, so given that, I'll entertain a motion to.
Mr. Chairman, could I ask a question?
Go ahead, Frank.
Can we have that email opened up? I understand that the board may want to see the report, but can we understand what has come in recently as far as the number is concerned?
I mean, I have no problem. David, are you comfortable with that? I mean, what is it?
Got to find it. I can give you a number. Again, I haven't looked at any of the breakdown. I mean, my office hasn't been out there either to the site.
Mr. Chair, Toby Adler was right. I think I need new glasses. It is 584, 584. And you should all know that I wrote down on the calendar that this meeting was at 10 o'clock, so I was sitting here at 10 also. So I think it's time for an appointment with the eye doctor.
So, Mr. Chair, sorry, Peg, thank you for
It's
that
okay,
aside.
go ahead with the meeting.
What engineering sent over, it looks like there was, give or take, a little less than 3,000, 425,493.
Could you say that number again?
425,493.74.
So, Mr. Chairman, it makes a difference of $3,000. If the board is comfortable voting on that number, we would appreciate that. The other question I have is that I believe when Mr. Fields started speaking, he mentioned something about a document being signed and recorded or something that you didn't have. Typically on the bond tripartite agreement reduction, the board issues a certificate of action. reducing the bond amount, and that's provided under item number 3 of the tripartite agreement. I don't think there's anything further that needs to be done. I just want to make sure we're all in agreement on that.
Well, I think on that, not necessarily. I mean, we wouldn't be issuing a decision. There's no, it's administrative. There's no decision that need be acted upon. I mean, if that's the case, potentially opening it up to an appeal of some sort. Generally, the way it works is a new instrument is recorded with the new signatures on it, so with the new amount. Otherwise, the agreement would still stand from the original, and we'd have no documentation of what the reduced amount would be. I don't know if the bank would be comfortable with simply a certificate of action as opposed to a signed contract, but that's the way that I've always done it elsewhere. This is the first go around with a new subdivision for me here.
Okay. I think we would just be looking for the certificate of action. If you look at item number 3 of the tripartite agreement, I'm just reading it here. Notice to the bank of the completion of any task itemized in Exhibit A and authority to disperse shall be given following an affirmative vote of a majority of the board and shall be communicated by a letter signed by the chair. The bank shall have the right to rely on such letter from the chair without further inquiry. So that's how I've done reductions in the tripartite agreement. In the past, if you want me to submit a new tripartite agreement with a new amount in it, I can do that if I don't think that it's necessary. What do we think?
Yeah, David, I don't think that's necessary, right? To me, I've signed a lot of these tripartite agreements in my career. It's one agreement, and what the bank is really waiting for is the town and the board to reduce their liability. So, I don't think we want a new agreement every time.
Right.
Okay, that's just unusual for me, but that's good.
I mean, you've got the bank's hook, okay? They're liable. They're basically saying to the town, funds are set aside for this amount of money to complete the project. So that, so they're anxious in seeing the liability reduced as fast as possible based on the work being done. So, I mean, I think that the document that they're most is to see the bond or the tripartite reduction.
So we would just need
You mean the schedule, John? Sorry.
Well, I think they're gonna want to see, that the board has reduced that liability. So when what does the bank usually get? Do they get a copy of the minutes of the meeting? Do they get a confirmation from the town that the liability's been reduced? What do they get?
They would get the certificate of action.
Okay.
That's signed by the chair. That evidences the vote of the board.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, I'm comfortable with that. I mean, the rest of the board comfortable. I mean, to me, it's what we can process effectively. I mean, that reduces their liability. Other questions? I mean, as far as the small reduction, at least from where I sit, I'm comfortable, but I want to get feedback from the other board members.
Mr. Chairman, is this email in the form of a letter from?
I'm sorry, Peg, I have not seen the email. Maybe what we can do is we can condition the vote on that I get a chance to work with staff to review that email.
Yeah.
So that we can address the matter today, and you guys can delegate it to me and David and Josh. I think we can do two things. We have a formal reduction for a certain amount, and then the added amount can be discussed with the chair and staff when we have all the time to look at the email. Does that make sense?
I'm comfortable with that.
Lou, Tori, how you guys feel?
I'm fine with that as well. I mean, just as that we would be agreeing to the set amount that we have in the formal engineering memo, but then sort of subject to a further reduction as long as the chair works with staff and is satisfied with that, with the additional amount. So that's fine.
I think I'm okay with that, but would that be an ongoing process where it can be continually reduced as engineering recognizes completion of items, or is this just to accommodate the most recent memo that
Just,
David described?
yeah, I don't want to change up, right? Just to accommodate this particular unique situation.
Yeah, then I'm fine with that.
All right, so given that dialogue, do I have a motion? Can someone make a motion to what we're asking the board to do? Does everyone remember?
What did you say? We make a motion to what we're asking them to do?
Yeah, well, no, a motion to reduce the bond as highlighted by the memo from the engineering division, and then authorizing the board chair to work with staff to resolve the outstanding new inspection that's been done.
I make a motion to, as you stated.
I think
For the
you do need
purpose that you stated.
Could I ask that you put in the exact amount? Because that's what will be reflected in the certificate of action, is reducing to a specific amount.
I'll make a motion that we reduce the bond to $428,854 as contained in the engineering memo dated, I think it was February 8th, and that would condition this motion to further reduce that bond based on the email that was read at the meeting for an additional, what was the amount, David? 5,000?
That was 3.
3,000 something.
425, 493.
Reducing it to then a total of 425, $493.74 based upon discussions between the chair and the administration.
Is there a second?
Gobbled?
I will second that.
Okay.
So everyone has those numbers correct, right? I just want to make sure we're here.
Did I get the numbers correct? Again, remember the glasses.
Yep. No, you did.
Okay.
All right, so we have a motion by Peg, second by Lou. Let me do a roll
I
call.
think Tori seconded it, John.
Tori
Yeah,
seconded.
okay.
Okay. Motion by Peg, second by Tori. So I'll do a roll call vote. Lou,
Yes.
Peg,
Yes.
Tori,
Yes.
and I'm in favor as well. Is there any other matters to be brought forward to the board this afternoon?
No minutes or anything on this one, so we're good.
Great. Is there a motion to adjourn?
May I ask one question?
Absolutely.
As long as I have you. There were some zoning articles on the agenda of the special town meeting in November that was canceled due to COVID. Is there any discussion of when those items might be coming back? Is there a discussion of a special town meeting in the spring, or are things going to be rolled to the annual? I'm just curious about that.
David, I saw a little email that went out by the town manager. So do you want to kind of update?
Sure. Yeah. Nobody's looking forward to those more than me, probably. It's looking like there's not going to be a spring special town meeting for zoning. Any zoning that was slated for November, unfortunately, is not going to make the spring town meeting either. I think similar to last year, it's just going to be a very quick financial, pass the budget and let's get out of here kind of a thing, just because the pandemic's still in full swing. So we don't have any updates. Again, we're hopeful that that means for us and for all the zoning articles for the fall, but we still don't know.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Okay, if there's no other matters, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thanks everyone. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks.
very much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Take care.
Have a good day, everyone.